Alright, so spooky season is technically over, but nonetheless there are a few spooky titles dropping this month. But perhaps more importantly, we also have some very cozy games coming out in November, which is perfect for those colder months. So today we'll be taking a look at 10 games coming to Steam this month, and 1 or 2 that are already here since, well, I'm just running a bit behind this month. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive in with some very cozy fare out of the gate with Mirthwood, which just came out on November 6th. Mirthwood is a slice-of-life simulator with some light RPG elements set in a medieval fantasy sandbox, within which you can manage your own homestead and perform the normal sort of cutesy farming activities that you'd expect. But true to the genre, you can also venture out into the wild to engage in combat, or socialize with various townfolk across Mirthwood with a sim-style interaction system. And I fully expect that this will likely end up being a chill, Rune Factory-esque sort of experience, but if you'd like to test that theory out yourself, there is a demo available right now that you can hop in and play if you want to get going with some chill, cozy farm simulation, or just want to see how deep those action RPG elements can get. Next up, and also released this week on the 6th, is what will likely prove to be an even more relaxing experience, and that would be Trash Goblin, which also dropped on November 6th. Trash Goblin is a wholesome, quirky, chaotic adventure wherein you'll play as a goblin with a knack for trash. You'll scavenge through heaps of garbage, find hidden treasures, and discover stories of the discarded. In that regard, I'm guessing it won't be too dissimilar to last year's excellent and very chill Assemble with Care, which I still need to finish now that I think about it. Over time, you'll be able to upgrade your shop, buy better tools, and also customize your workspace, all while providing your service to an endless stream of customers with their own stories to tell. I imagine it'll be one of those undeniably cozy games that celebrates the hidden beauty in things we might otherwise discard, but I aim to find out myself, having already downloaded the demo that's now available. Next up is another game that looks kinda cutesy on the surface, but I'm guessing it's gonna be pretty menacing as a real-time strategy game where you conquer enemy nests in the forest, and that will be Empire of the Ants, which dropped on November 7th. Offering a unique blend of strategy and nature simulation, Empire of the Ants puts you in control of an ant colony. You'll take on the role of the 103,683rd ant in a colony who has an inquisitive mind. You can explore, strategize, and forge alliances with other local wildlife to hopefully emerge victorious in the battles that lie ahead. Now, I grew up playing a lot of Command & Conquer back in the day, so this one immediately appealed to me. My only hesitation is that games like this can get overwhelming pretty quickly, and considering you're commanding a ton of units on screen, it's probably going to be pretty taxing. But hey, at least it has full controller support, so fingers crossed for smooth controls on the deck because it looks incredibly interesting and gorgeous to boot from early footage. Next up is an action horror game that I've been keeping an eye on, but I'm a little bit split on it, and that would be Slitterhead, dropping on November 8th. From the mind of Silent Hill director Keiichiro Toyama, Slitterhead is a visceral horror game that blends psychological tension with action-packed gameplay. You'll journey through a dark, eerie cityscape and confront grotesque monsters in a story-driven experience that promises a mix of fear, adrenaline, and mystery. You'll be playing as Hyoki, a bodiless entity that hops from host to host on a mission to eradicate the monstrous horrors known as Slitterheads, which appear human on the surface. Thematically and visually, this is 100% aligned with my horror predilections, and it has an Akira Yamaoka soundtrack to boot, although I am concerned about the controls here. And I think what's holding me back is that platforming and combat looks like it might be a little bit hit or miss, but I'll probably end up taking the leap on it because I am curious to see if it ends up being better than the sum of its parts and can actually stick the landing. And if you're a horror fan as well, I'm sure that the atmosphere and creature design might be appealing enough on its own for you to roll the dice. Next up, let's move on to a remix of a timeless classic with Tetris Forever releasing on November 12th. Tetris Forever introduces fresh mechanics, multiplayer modes, and endless variations on the block stacking you may have been doing since the 80s. Whether you're a nostalgic fan or a newcomer, the game's addictive puzzles and visual flair should be easy to pick up and play, but with a few interesting new twists. For starters, it includes 15 different versions of Tetris from throughout the years, but also has the new Tetris Time Warp, and at least one mechanic by which certain blocks will transform the board into a random retro version that will then task you with solving a particular Tetris-based puzzle to continue on. As a bonus, it also includes a documentary about the history of Tetris and its cultural impact. So if you're looking for some lighter fare with a whole lot of nostalgia to check out in between those beefier releases, I'm sure Tetris Forever is going to be a blast, and I'm pretty confident that it's going to run great on the deck as well. Next up, while we're on the subject of remixes, we have LEGO Horizon Adventures dropping on the 14th. Here you'll be able to dive into a vibrant, blocky world inspired by the Horizon franchise. And I'd venture that even if you're not already familiar with the series, that it's still going to be a pretty fun time by sheer virtue of its being set in the LEGO universe. Sure, LEGO's particular brand brand of playful, self-aware humor might not be for everyone, but personally I can't get enough of it. Outside of the raw charm of seeing established characters from the Horizon universe in adorable minifigure form, you'll also be able to build, explore, and battle classic Horizon machines. And while I still need to roll credits on Forbidden West, I might actually dive into this one anyways, if for no other reason than I am a big fan of open world titles, and its more playful aesthetic is just the sort of chill vibe that I like to indulge as we get closer to the holidays. Next up, let's get a little bit weirder with another game that has a demo available right now, and is undeniably the most intriguing title on this list, and that would be Sorry We're Closed, also releasing on the 14th. Sorry We're Closed is a single-player survival horror game that is heavily atmospheric. It features classic elements like fixed camera angles along with arcade-style first-person combat. Throw in a range of colorful characters, a banger of a soundtrack, and a huge, vibrant helping of weirdness, and that's a recipe that I can get behind. This is just such a crazy, vibrant title, and having now played the demo that's available, I couldn't be more pumped for this one. It's got a distinctly PS1 era aesthetic mixed with a Killer 7 sort of vibe for all you Suda fans out there. And it's just so weird seeing a horror game that juxtaposes the grimy environments you'd expect against these super saturated character models and monsters. Almost like somebody flash-fried Silent Hill in a vat of Persona with just a dash of fear effect. Or more to the point, this is definitely one to keep an eye on if you like for your games to be distinctly off-kilter. But speaking of games with retro sensibilities, and also hitting on the 14th, we have the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. And this is a remake of what I believe is one of the more highly regarded Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior entries, and boy does it look gorgeous. Set in a fantasy world where you're tasked with vanquishing a great evil, you'll recruit a variety of allies, form a party, and set off on a grand RPG adventure. Now I have a very limited familiarity with Dragon Quest, but it's a series that I'd really like to get into more fully. Aside from starting Dragon Quest Builders, finishing Dragon Quest Builders 2, and maybe putting 20 or so hours into Dragon Quest 11, I've spent enough time to know that there's something really special here. And I'm guessing even without a ton of familiarity that anyone's going to be able to jump in and enjoy this one, and I'm sure it'll be even more attractive with these updated visuals that have a cozy Octopath flair about them. Which, considering Octopath Traveler was really paying homage to the JRPGs of yesteryear anyways, it's perfectly appropriate to see the aesthetics coming full circle here. If you're already a DQ fan, this is probably a no-brainer, but if you aren't already familiar, or like me have only dipped your toes in the series occasionally like I did playing Dragon Quest 1 and 2 on the Pocket last year, then this might be a fun jumping on point to get a taste of what it's all about. Next up, we have a story-driven detective adventure dropping on the 21st with On Your Tail. Like Mirthwood, this too is a bit of a slice-of-life simulator, albeit one that revolves around a mystery. It follows the Ram detective Diana in the picturesque seaside village of Borgo, Marina. I think the art style is what's mostly drawing me in here, as it looks completely gorgeous. And based on the subject matter and puzzles within, I'm betting the devs were at least somewhat inspired by the adventures of Professor Layton when bringing this one to life. I don't know if I'll pick it up right out of the gate, but with colder weather creeping in and my general love of cozy games, it's definitely one that I'm keeping on my radar, and I think there might also be a demo available for it right now. And finally, this last title is one that admittedly I'm also a little bit split on given its mixed reviews, but as a fairly major AAA game, I figured I'd at least go ahead and point out that Star Wars Outlaws is also coming to Steam on November 21st. Obviously set in the Star Wars universe, you'll be stepping into the shoes of Outlaw Kay Vess as you start navigating a galaxy of danger and adventure, during which you'll embark on heists, evade the authorities, and forge new alliances along the way. And I think the reason I was a little lukewarm on this one is I still have to finish Survivor and Fallen Order, which is shameful, I realize. But it's also kind of appealing to me with an emphasis on stealth gameplay. I'm not sure if I would buy this one right out of the gate, but on a long enough timeline, I'm sure it will go on sale sooner or later, and if that does end up happening, it just might find its way into my library, or at least prompt me to strongly reconsider it, especially if I wrap up some of the other Star Wars titles that I've been slacking on. Alright, and that's it for this one. As usual, this is not every game coming to Steam this month, but rather just 10 that I thought looked the most intriguing or noteworthy. Let me know in the comments below if there's any particular game that you're pumped for this month, or if I just missed some glaringly obvious gem coming down the pike. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hang out with me here on the channel, and if you enjoyed it, well, you know where to find me for more. And as always, have a tremendous day, and I will see you on the next one.